Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Room, where we talk all things comics and movies. This is episode number 51. We're discussing trailers for Transformers: The Last Night, The Mummy Reboot, and Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2. I'm your host, Tim.
I'm Troy.
And back again for the third time, I think.
Third time it is.
I'm Wayne, and glad to be here again.
Yeah, welcome back, buddy. Glad to have you back in the Nerd Room. New audio equipment this week. I know we discussed a couple weeks ago that we were going to try to debut this on our 52nd episode, the year anniversary episode. Came in the middle this week. I got too excited, just plugged it all in, and here we go.
Yeah, it looks great. Sounds great. So hopefully y'all are enjoying the experience, the new experience.
Yeah, I'm hoping it works because I literally cut open the boxes and plugged everything. I've never used a mixer before, brand new mics. I'm hoping that it comes out clean here, and I apologize if it doesn't come out as crisp as maybe we want. We got to do some fiddling here with the mixer and that. And I got to figure out one of these 100 knobs of what to turn to make it sound good. But nonetheless, I think it should be all right.
Yeah.
It's been a relatively busy week compared to the last couple of weeks in the nerd world. We've got 3 huge trailers dropping.
Yeah, and it's going to be some great stuff, man. I love talking Transformers, always, and a big fan of the Mummy franchise, so can't wait to see what happens in this episode.
We got lots of news to get into first here. Jumping straight into the MCU, Thor 3, Thor Ragnarok. We got a first promo art from this. At first, I thought this was a fan-made kind of clip art type thing, but apparently this is real.
Yeah, it's legit. You know, it kind of looks a little bit like a video game-ish. Actually, Marvel versus Capcom, kind of like with the neon kind of colors.
Yes.
But Thor has the helmet.
He does,
right?
and he has the helmet, and Hulk has the gladiatorial gear on him.
Yeah.
It looks like it's come straight out of the comic book.
It really does.
And I'm blown away by even the color scheme here, because this is a movie, and we talked about this before when the director kind of did that little walk through the Facebook Live event through the set, through this kind of galactic junkyard.
Yes.
And we commented on the tone and the color palettes that they were using in this, because we thought this was going to be very much an apocalyptic movie, and it didn't really come off that way. And this poster here doesn't make it seem like it's going to be that either.
Yeah, again, you know, from everything we've seen with this movie, they're really separating themselves from the Dark World and the first Thor. This is like a big step in a different direction. Yeah.
So I'm happy to see something different here. And I think I mentioned this before. I have no idea what this movie is actually about, because there's so many elements building here onto what is already quite a complex Thor Asgardian type world, right? So now we're layering in the Hulk, and for whatever reason in space, Doctor Strange, Hela, all these other characters.
Beta Ray Bill, hopefully.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how well this universe kind of coalesces into a single standalone film, because we're expanding a lot here again, I think. I think they're trying to bring in elements from the Guardians of the Galaxy, which this really does look like from the promo art. It's got that feel to it, that 80s vibe, right? Do you think we're going to get a massive Planet Hulk storyline here, or is this going to be a brief side tangent, a 20-minute side tangent in the movie to bring Hulk out, or we're going to have a much larger arc here where it does involve Hulk appearing and reappearing numerous times throughout the movie?
I don't think so. I think we're going to get some cool fan service. You know, I think we're going to get some cool scenes from like Planet Hulk and like that awesome animated movie. Mm-hmm. But what Marvel's done such a great job of is giving you little nods to things that have come up in the comics. You know, Tony Stark's little alcohol demon in the bottle arc, right? They've always just touched little bits of these little lines. So I don't see them going too much into it, but at the same time, though, the audience has been asking for a Planet Hulk movie, right?
Yeah, and we're never going to get a standalone Planet Hulk movie.
No.
Like, this is as best as they can do, because Universal still owns the rights to the solo Hulk film franchise. Yeah. And shoehorning this into a Thor movie or any other type movie, a Guardians movie you could even do it with.
Yeah.
This is the only way we're going to get it, and I think they're going down the right path here. It looks fantastic on screen. I'm still having a hard time separating the fact that this isn't some sort of fan art.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks kind of cheesy. Like, is this real? And then you have to like check other sources like to make sure it actually is official fan art.
That's right.
Going back to your previous point, Troy, about whether this is going to be like a side story for the Hulk. From what I was reading behind the scenes, Mark Ruffalo was only on set for a couple weeks. So it tells me that possibly he's in it for a small segment in the movie, maybe 20-30 minutes at the beginning, or like spread out for the entire movie, and then the rest of it's just going to be Thor and all of his Asgardian issues.
Yeah,
because again, I think Marvel has learned their lesson, or learned from the mistakes of DC. When you try to add too many elements in a movie, you start to bog it down. And if you have one good element, you give them a great little 20-minute thing like we did with Spider-Man and Civil War, just enough to keep the fans wanting more, no more. Yeah. And then That way, whenever you see Hulk, you're excited. You're not, oh, not again.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the one different thing about here, when you contrast it to Spider-Man or Black Panther, is that they're establishing these characters. Hulk's an established character, but you're also transporting into something completely different. You have to explain almost an origin story for Hulk of why he's not on Earth, why he's in space, and why he's in this gladiatorial arena. So that's a lot to get through, and to bridge that understanding, I think, at least for the common fan. Like, we get this, right? We understand that in the comics, the Illuminati shot Hulk off into space.
Yeah, exactly.
Which would have been a great way to end Civil War, by the way. But,
Awesome. Yeah, that would have been nice.
But, that's not what happens. So there's a lot of explaining to do. I don't know if they're just going to make this leap in logic and just say the Hulk is here. He was picked up by whomever. That's an easy way to get out of this. Like a Yondu type character or someone comes and just beams Hulk up and they take him. And then all of a sudden he's in the gladiatorial arena. And so I think there's a lot of bridging to do there. And then you add in the element of Doctor Strange, and then Ragnarok even in itself is a massive story. So there's a lot of layers of complexity to this movie, and I'm hoping that they handle this properly, because this could be Thor's, Winter Soldier, right?
Right.
This the story that actually propels this character into the upper echelons of the MCU, like a Captain America and like an Iron Man. And if they do that, I don't see why these guys aren't coming back. Like, Chris Evans appears to be coming back for some sort of at least Captain America cameos here and there throughout the rest of the universe. There was that massive tease by Sebastian Stan with the Winter Soldier Captain America shield, which is really cool.
That's right.
So this whole universe seems to be building up that 3 movies isn't the end of the line.
That's right. Because there's been little rumors of Iron Man 4, I think, even, right?
And with his appearance in Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, like, there's a lot to build on there. But I'm just hoping that they do this universe, at least the Thor-centric universe, justice here to allow him to be on that level with an Iron Man or a Captain America, where the next movie coming down the pipe is something that we're excited for. And by the looks of it, they've gone completely different here.
Yeah, that's for sure, because it's the big 3, so you got to handle Thor with care. Valkyrie is also in this movie as well, right? Do we know if the returning crew of Thor is coming? Like the I can't remember his
Warriors
gang.
3.
Yeah, are they in this
Lady
movie?
Sif. Yeah. I think the Warriors 3 are in this movie, but I know the actress that plays Lady Sif has that show or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Lexi
I think
Alexander, I think.
And I think that conflicted with the shooting. I don't know if she's going to have some sort of glorified cameo in this, where she shows up at the start where they're fighting, similar to Dark World.
Yes.
She didn't have a huge part in that either. She was kind of teased as the love interest.
Yeah.
But I think Valkyrie might be going down that path with the absence of Natalie Portman. So hopefully they kind of just brush that aside.
Because a lot of characters to handle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
What do you think of him holding 2 swords instead of Mjolnir here?
I love that. I've always been a fan of Thor with the sword. There's a cool Marvel Legends. I don't know if you have that one, but I've been chasing it with Thor, and he has the sword. He's kind of in his Marvel Now gear. Yeah. It's a really good look. So swords are awesome.
They seem to be going down, maybe from the rumors that we've heard, this unworthy Thor route, where he does lose the power to carry Mjolnir. And ends up fighting in this arena, shaved head, all that.
That's right. Yeah.
There's the Unworthy Thor comic that just dropped, which is fantastic. High recommend from me. So maybe they're going down that path as well, kind of separating Thor, putting him more this fish out of water type, getting away from the classic Thor stories and doing something different. I think will really benefit the character, particularly in the MCU.
That has my interest. Yeah, I really like that idea.
Sticking with the MCU here. Now, Troy, you are a Spider-Man fanboy.
Big time.
We talked about it last week, I believe, that there is a trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming coming down the pipe, likely attached to Rogue One. I really thought we were going to get it dropped this weekend.
Yeah.
But they did show footage at the Brazilian Comic Expo or whatever it is.
Right.
So Marvel seemed to have a big presence there. James Gunn was down there and showed the Guardians footage for the first time. Ryan Penagos and a few others of the Marvel kind of digital crew were down there. And they did debut some scenes from Spider-Man Homecoming. Did you have a chance to check them out?
I checked out a couple of the tweets and, a little bit of the description going on there. And I heard it's, short and sweet, pretty much what we've gotten, right? We see, I guess we're going to spoiler.
Yeah, spoilers. If you're waiting for the trailer or whatever, we're going to say spoilers for this, because we're going to spoil from the scene descriptions that was given by the people that were present there. So spoilers.
Yeah. So Jon Favreau shows up here, right?
Yeah,
which
Happy
is
Hogan.
Yeah. Right. Which is awesome. I can't wait to see him and Peter Parker interact and all that kind of stuff.
Now he shows up apparently with a suitcase with some sort of upgrade in the suit. And we do see something different in the suit. But before we comment on that, do you think this upgrade could be the Iron Spider suit?
I hope not. I've never been a fan of that costume. I think Spider-Man has many cool costumes, and that's not one of them. But it's pretty divided because a lot of people really do appreciate that costume. I don't know what it could be. It could be some type of I can't remember way back when Spider-Man defeated the Vulture. He had a little gizmo that he used.
Yeah.
Because back then he always had these little gizmos to beat. A vacuum for Sandman, rubber gloves for Electro. So he did have these little devices to take out his enemies. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's something to help him defeat Vulture.
Yeah.
So it's can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Now, the upgrade could also be what was again shown here is that we're going Ditko era with this suit, and he's getting the webs under the arms.
Gliders.
Yeah, the web gliders.
Yes, and people have been dying for that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that.
So it's rumored that, or it's actually described in the scene that he jumps off a building and he's got the gliders.
Cool.
And so that's probably and more likely the upgrade that he does get from Happy Hogan, which is from Tony Stark at some point here, to fight a flying vulture here.
Yeah.
Now, this is Ditko era. This is classic Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And this is a route that we have not seen in any of the Spider-Man films.
No.
And I really like that they're doing this here. This is going to contrast all of those other suits, something completely different. I think the average fan may roll their eyes at the start.
Yeah.
But for us comic book fans to understand where this came from, that it was Ditko, and we got the Ditko eyes, the Ditko looking suit, the small emblem too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this is a fantastic move on Marvel's part. Bring in a different element of Spider-Man's suit to really show how this character, Tom Holland, Peter Parker, is different from everything else that we've seen before.
Yeah, but also a throwback to the original character himself, right? This is cool. I've always geeked out when I've seen Spider-Man with a backpack from Amazing Spider-Man 1. And now he has the small eyes that, expand up and down, or shrink, I should say. And then now we also have the wings going on. So I can't really ask for much more. What do you think about this?
I as soon as I read the whole thing about the webbing underneath the arms, I'm like, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Like I was a little bit like Vulture. They haven't done them yet on the big screen.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful it's not Hobgoblin again.
Yeah.
So
or Demo Goblin or whatever you want to call him.
A goblin.
Yeah.
But no, I think his suit is gonna work. However they make that part of the plot whether he like gets his original suit damaged and then he gets an upgrade, or however they fit into the story. I just hope it makes sense. Yeah. And he actually uses the gliding ability on the suit to fight Vulture. But I'm more of a wait and see. I've been burned by too many Spider-Man movies in the past, and I just want it to be good. So I'm keeping my expectations a little bit back because Spider-Man, we got a really good version of him in Civil War, so it's the only place to go up is up.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as long as they don't introduce the Spidey bike, which they have done in the previous times, even in the recent cartoon, which is a horrible thing. Yeah, so as long as it's not the spider bike, should be okay.
Yeah, I think they're going to handle this with real class here. Like they're taking the Ditko stuff. They know what they're doing. They did that with Civil War here, and I think it's a great way to go. Like I said before, it really contrasts the character to what we've seen before, and the fact that he's fighting Vulture, which appears to have some sort of hover flying abilities in that.
Right.
So it'll be a good villain to go up against that. It's not like a ground-based villain where he's kind of flying around here, and it's just gliders too, right?
Yeah.
So it just kind of gives him that extra little lift as he's going building to building.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that actual footage. Really stoked that it's going to be in front of Rogue One as well. Like that's going to be a big night,
it's
right?
Gonna be huge.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it debuts a day or two before that.
Probably.
Just to build that hype and get people excited going in and seeing this on the big screen, on the IMAX for the first time. So super excited, and I'm surprised that they actually let them tweet out, because Ryan Penagos, he's one of the VPs there at Marvel, was actually tweeting this out. So the scene descriptions usually come from outside sources, but this came from directly from Marvel. So maybe they're trying to get ahead of it a bit. Don't know why they didn't just drop the footage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think waiting and seeing it on the big screen might be nice. Something different than we're used to with trailers, right? Because we're used to seeing them on YouTube. To be honest with you, most of the trailers I watch the first time are on my phone.
Yeah.
Which isn't always the best way to watch some of these, right? Particularly with this Transformers one, there's so much going on.
Okay.
You don't really view the trailer the way it's meant to be viewed, right? So,
yeah. You need the big screen.
Yeah, I think waiting for this might be good.
Nice.
Marvel was busy this week because they also dropped a trailer and some gameplay footage from Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
4, but I think it's going to be called Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Infinite, okay.
Yeah.
This is way outside my wheelhouse. I'm not so much a gamer. I did watch some of the gameplay.
Nice.
It looks quite intense.
Right.
quick, almost too quick. I'm thinking like, how would I push the button so fast here? But it seems like a cool story. It's going to be based around the Infinity Stones, I believe. And this is picking up, I guess, on previous iterations of this game. So can you just kind of enlighten me a bit here, guys?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess this franchise started off way back with X-Men Children of the Atom.
Yeah, on the
Sega Saturn, on the arcade, and then it moved to Marvel Heroes, which is interesting because Marvel Heroes actually had the gems first introduced. So that was, kind of adapted from the comics Secret Wars, right?
Yep.
Where you had the Power Stones and all that kind of stuff. So now it's cool to see them go back to these gems. Probably too late with the movie. Even though looking at the art in these games, it doesn't look anything like the movie. It looks very comic book like.
It does. Yeah. Even the new Captain Marvel that was on there, very comic book based, like present day comic book based.
Yeah. And Captain America was like the Marvel Now costume, and Iron Man's, well, your typical Iron Man. But it's funny. I love everything I see, except my only problem was the game looks very cartoony.
It does.
Right? A little shiny, a little plasticky.
So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you guys, is that I'm not familiar with the previous gameplay or what it looked like, but this look like, especially Ryu from Street Fighter or whatever, it looked like something out of the Sega era, right? And I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, but the Marvel, like the digital representation looked very different than the Ryu, the Street Fighter looking character, right? Yeah. And so I was kind of confused as to why they were contrasting them so much. Is that done on purpose maybe?
Yeah, most of the time when they do a versus game, they want to contrast the different sides.
Okay.
Just to give a little bit more style. If you go back to the previous one that was out in 2011, they had a more slightly hand-drawn, cel-shaded look for the characters. And then now they're going with a very 3D cartoonish look. A couple things about the game series, which is, for people who played the game series, is that there have been X-Men characters a part of this game series since the very beginning. Like Storm, Magneto, Sentinel, Juggernaut, Doctor Doom as well. They've been staples in the game series, and now with Marvel and Fox and having their go back and forth about their properties, a lot of rumors that it's not going to have any X-Men characters whatsoever. People's favorites won't be in the game series, and it's more likely going to have the Marvel Netflix heroes, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. And then they've also had, in the most recent one that came out in 2011, they had Doctor Strange in it, they had Dormammu, they had Iron Fist, they had Rocket Raccoon as characters. So it's more likely those are going to make a return, and we're going to get more of our Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think so. A push for them, right? And definitely a push for them humans, I would say. Yeah. Because Marvel's been really pushing these characters.
Yeah, you'll see a Black Bolt, maybe a Medusa.
That's what I was thinking. And I think Medusa would play really well in a game like this. I'm excited for you because I'm going to try and get you into these games. You got me into the Marvel Legends, so it's only right that I get you into these video games.
I'm fair.
Star-Lord. I'd like to see Star-Lord pop up, and you were mentioning Groot. I think Groot would be really cool in a video game.
For sure going to be in the game.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm totally down for an evening of playing a little bit of Marvel vs. Capcom. Like, I've never really played these style games since maybe like a Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter 2.
Nice.
And so it's been a long time since I mashed buttons. But I'm totally down for trying this out. And the fact that they have characters in there that I'm familiar with and that I like, and like I said, the gameplay does look pretty intense, pretty quick. It almost looks like, can you play 4 players on it?
It's 4 characters on the screen, but it's only 2 players. So it's kind of like a team. Okay. So you pick your team, Ryu and Spider-Man, and you go up against Captain Marvel and Iron Man, if you will. Whereas the last 2 have been
3.
The last 3 have been 3-on-3 battles.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a little step backwards.
Yeah, definitely. And then to touch on the whole Infinity Stones, from what I've been reading, there was an interview that I watched, and the guys from Capcom and Marvel were talking about what they wanted to do, and like they were talking about bringing in new characters and having the Infinity Stones as a prominent feature in this game makes it kind of coincide with what the movies are doing right now. So it makes sense what they're doing, and I'm betting this is probably a push more from Marvel than from Capcom.
Definitely. Yeah.
So like I definitely see like more of the relevance with the, like you were saying before, with the Captain Marvel suit directly taken from the comic books, present day. And again, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really excited because people have been wanting this for a while.
Is this like a gameplay type thing where you could play single player and you go through a series of battles and that, and you eventually get to like a boss like Thanos or something? So there's kind of a story built into this and weaved into it. It's not just like a versus type fighting game.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have options where you can just play the computer for fun, but they'll definitely have a story mode. I believe the last one, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate Edition, you fought Galactus at the end, which was pretty cool. So it'll definitely be a big bad. It might even be Thanos, right?
Probably, with the Infinity Stones and all that. It seems like Thanos being the big bad coming down the pipe for Infinity War. It seems like you said, Wayne, if Marvel's really pushing on the end of this, they're going to be pushing their characters they want out there. That's why Captain Marvel was in the trailer. That's why Iron Man, Cap were in these trailers, right? And you get that familiarity with some of the Street Fighter characters as well. But it's really a Marvel-centric trailer. Like, they're showing their big three right now. And especially Captain Marvel, they're pushing her in the comic books. They're pushing her in the movies. And, why not have her front and center here, too?
Right, what better platform? Yeah.
Jumping quickly over to the DC Cinematic Universe. And, again, this is seemingly our bi-weekly or weekly, what shenanigans is DC and Warner Brothers up to in their Cinematic Universe? That's how I like to call it. I've dubbed it here. Aquaman has been pushed back to October 5th from a late July, I think July 28-ish, 2018 slot. And it was pushed back to not oppose, I believe, one of the Mission Impossibles that are dropping down here on Mission Impossible 5, 6, whatever it is. There's also these rumors, and this is not the first time this has happened with DC. We saw Batman vs. Superman get pushed up to avoid Civil War. Wonder Woman get pushed up to avoid Transformers The Last Night. And also Flash is in somewhat disarray as it's lost multiple directors, and there's no real firm date for this. Do you think Aquaman is in trouble, or are they just trying to get it into an area? We saw this with this year. September, October, kind of a dead zone, right? November starts to pick up, and then you get into your December, Christmas time, Star Wars month movies, right? So do you think they're moving Aquaman purely to pick up on kind of the dead zone in October, the pre-Halloween type crowd, or do you think they're having issues with this movie? Now, moving from July to October is not that big of a move, but it's still quite a distance, right?
I think they're okay. I think they're just moving it towards October just to kind of clean up. I think, was it James Wan?
Yeah.
That's the director. Yeah, he's been on here for a while, and he handles his properties pretty well. But again, it's more than just the director. It's obviously the studios jumping in here. But I think October would be a safer route to put this character in, right? Yeah, because
you get his introduction in Batman vs. Superman. We're going to see him in Justice League, and I do not believe they actually even started filming this, and we're 2018. We're still like 2 years out, almost. And so I don't imagine this has anything to do with this script or anything like that, because they bang out these scripts sometimes in 6 months or whatever, and the fact that they do have a prominent actor taking that role, we've seen him before, hopefully has a good showing in Justice League. I agree, this is just fully down to positioning a movie for success as opposed to trying to take on a Tom Cruise movie or whatever, right? Something that can even chew a bit into these movies, I think would be detrimental to the character. They need to have kind of their own week or two, like we saw with Doctor Strange in November. He had a couple weeks there to shine, and look what the character's done, right?
Huge. I think Doctor Strange is now over 600 million.
Yeah, it's over Iron Man 2 globally as far as its total haul.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, you have to remember too, with Iron Man and Iron Man 2 and the early MCU movies, the international hauls weren't near what they are. The international hauls are almost double now the domestic, with China and with big markets in Germany, Japan, and that. So those movies weren't as prominently featured in those foreign markets. So you do look at the contrast between Avengers and Iron Man 3, compare that to what we're seeing for Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is still doing very well, but when you actually insert those big characters into those markets, you do see the massive uptick. And that's why I think Doctor Strange is over the global haul for Iron Man 2. Not to say that the character is less popular or the movie isn't good. I just don't think the MCU was as established internationally as it is right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely agree.
So just to touch on what you guys are saying about Aquaman, I have an alternate theory, so it may not be popular, but
we love speculation and theory here.
Okay, so I think the delay for Aquaman, because I want to say beginning of this year, end of last year, I was hearing that Aquaman would be kind of a scarier tale, like a scarier movie. I heard rumors about that. I don't know how true they are, obviously.
But James Wan's a horror director.
Yeah, he did Saw.
Yeah.
So
did The Conjuring too?
Yeah, The Conjuring, yeah.
That makes sense, because he did the Saw movies, and they're not for kids, by the way.
No.
So,
they're not for me.
Yeah, exactly. But so when they were saying that it's going to be more of a scary type movie, okay, cool, because it's the ocean, there's scary monsters down there, makes sense to a degree, but remember, this is DC, and this is before Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad got released on the criticisms that they dealt with. And then I recently, I want to say summer, I heard that it's going to be more of a swashbuckling adventure, quote unquote. So which version are we going to get a mixture of the two? Were they always the same, which is people's different interpretations? And I think that if you're going purely from the creative reasoning, for the delay or pushback or date change is taking up the Flash's old spot since they've recently lost a director. I think Jeff Johns creatively may have something to do with this. Maybe he wants to tighten up the script a bit more, because look how long we had to wait for Doctor Strange. Look how long we had to wait for Ant-Man and all these movies that Kevin Feige had his hands in. They lost a director for Ant-Man partway through. Like, they were almost ready to shoot and they lost the director. And that's creative differences, whatever you want to call it. And that says to me that Kevin Feige was like, no, he's not the right guy for the job. And we get the new guy, I don't remember his name, but look how pretty good. Yeah, look how good Ant-Man turned out.
Yeah.
So I think this is a result of Jeff Johns being in a controlling position where he's like, no, this is not good enough. You guys have to work this story better. Maybe there's more hooks that they want to put in. Maybe he wants the more long-term planning for the DC universe, because there hasn't really been any before this. There's Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad. Like, going forward, if they ever want to compete with Marvel, it's going to have to be, a little bit further planning. And I think that this is probably, if it's going to be creatively, it's going to be Jeff Johns having his influence on doing his job. Because Justice League, I think, is finished shooting already. Yeah. So there's nothing he can really do because they've already shot the scenes. And Wonder Woman is on the tail end of finishing, I believe.
No, it's already cut.
Yeah. There you go.
That's looking great.
So Aquaman being the only movie that's currently in the pipeline for, other than the Ben Affleck Batman movie, but pretty much Ben Affleck's a really good writer director, so there's no worry about that. But it's just James Wan's untested with properties of this level where he doesn't have as much creative control as he used to, because Saw was kind of his baby at the beginning. And so I think that's maybe Jeff Johns has a little bit more into this than we know about, on top of not wanting to compete up against other bigger movies during the year. Yeah,
I think probably a mixture of both there. You're probably seeing some elements of, I really see they got to avoid the Thor kind of trap here, where they make it look like Thor. You got the big dude, you got
the long
similar
hair,
like fish out of water type character, right? Oh, he's got punted out of Atlantis, now he's got to wander around on Earth, finds a girl, whatever saves the day. So I think it's kind of elements of both, and the fact that we're going to have a character somewhat develops coming out of Justice League, you may need to tweak the script a bit here too.
Yeah.
But one other point, actually, you brought up Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman. One of the other rumors were that it was moving so that Batman can take that slot, that July slot, that kind of, typical summer blockbuster type movie. I don't know if Batman really needs to be put in any sort of blockbuster type frame, but at the same time, there's thoughts that could actually be slotted into 2018, because there are rumors that is going to start shooting sometime soon. They've tightened up the script a bit more, and that they're looking to bring that movie out in sometime in 2018.
Well, do we have even a somewhat soft release date on the first Marvel's Infinity War movie?
It's May 2018.
Okay, so that's far enough away for Batman.
Oh yeah. So May or 2018 is going to be a big year. So May 5th or 6th or whatever it turns out to be. I think it's May 5th, 2018 is when Infinity War drops. So it has enough separations. Nothing's going to want to get anywhere near that.
Yeah.
But July is often a bogged down type of month for film releases. And do you really want to stick your Batman in kind of this time frame? We're going to have maybe a week or 2 solid weeks before it kind of gets at least encroached by some other major action flick, or you could just put it in a March or a October or November time frame where it can have a month to kind of just run around like Batman vs Superman did.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
And we've had a lot of movies. 2018, 2017 are really exciting years, and we got 2017 coming up on us here, and we're getting the trailers dropping for our early releases in the year, for our May through June releases. And this week in particular, we've been kind of jumping around here hoping to see a trailer at some point, and we got 3 this week. We got the Mummy reboot with Tom Cruise coming off of the end of, I think they're early 2000s movies with, I can't even remember his name. Brendan Fraser, thank you. I really like those movies. And I think they had kind of a really nice vibe feel to them, and that kind of fit my age at the time. We've got Transformers: The Last Night, another entry from Michael Bay into this universe, coming off the back end of their soft-ish reboot with kind of revamping the cast. You're adding Mark Wahlberg, but still having our similar, Optimus Prime and Bumblebee and all these type characters. And then we also get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the first official trailer. The first trailer, I'm saying in air quotes here, was a teaser of sorts. Not really much revealed there. This trailer in itself shows a lot more of the characters, but still really no story.
No.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of do a high-level discussion of Transformers and the Mummy, and then we're going to do a little bit similar to what we've done in the past, is to kind of break down Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in a bit more detail, because that's what we do here. We talk about comic book movies. The other two, yes, they are exciting movies to a degree, but we're going to break them down in a little bit less detail. All right, so let's kick off the discussion here of our new 2017 trailers with The Mummy Reboot, or what I'm assuming is a reboot. This looks like it's taking place in present day. We have Tom Cruise filling the lead male role here, and we have an all-new resurrected mummy in the form of a female-type queen or princess right here. And the trailer, so we did watch two different trailers here. We watched the official trailer, and then there was a 2-minute behind-the-scene type vignette that we watched as well, at Wayne's recommendation here. So let's start with the trailer itself. It kind of opened to more or less what appears to be a scene directly out of the film, kind of like the opening sequence almost here, right? Yeah. It kind of builds here into an eventual plane crash of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. Kicking off a trailer like this, like I wasn't completely sold at the start of this trailer. I felt like, other than the fact that it seems like a cool plane crash sequence and you do get the sarcophagus kind of sitting off in the corner there, it seemed a bit weird to me. This is how you're starting off the trailer. Other than the fact that Tom Cruise did his own stunt and was actually in a plane crash for this. What do you guys think of how this trailer started?
I love it. You know, I've never been like the biggest Mummy person. Yeah. I like the first 1 and 2. But man, I gotta tell you, I like the direction they're going with this. Especially, I believe this is Universal's kickoff for their expanded universe. What they're doing with the werewolf, or the Wolfman, the Mummy, and Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I think even Van Helsing. They're doing one big, huge universe.
Yeah.
So to see them jump off with this trailer looked pretty cool. I like that they're going with the princess route, or queen, as the Mummy. The plane ride kind of reminded me a little bit of The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. A little bit of that feel going on. And I think Tom Cruise is just great. This guy is like a classic action star, right? What he does here. So I can't wait to see, man. This trailer sold me.
Yeah, we've got all the classic Tom Cruise trailer sequences. Him running away from something, doing some crazy stunts, kind of yelling, screaming a bit here. And looking at the behind-the-scenes vignette, it looks like a lot of these are practical effects. Yeah. It looks like the plane was that zero-G plane that goes up and down. It looks like he is doing a lot of the stunts, a lot of the scenes with at least some of the explosion and then the running action sequences here. So that's one thing that you can commend Tom Cruise for, is that he is the one doing these stunts. And I think that makes a difference in the movie here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm getting a real kind of Mission Impossible type vibe from this, which is hard to disconnect Tom Cruise from that series now that he's so ingrained with that type of action. And I think they're bringing elements of that series into this. But I'm interested in here, Troy, what you said about them building this monster universe. And, you know, when we were watching the trailer, I said to myself, you know, the Russell Crowe character who begins to narrate a part of this trailer looks like some sort of curator, but you mentioned that he might be Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde or whatever.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So I think that's a cool addition to this, and I really like Russell Crowe, and it looks like from the vignette that they do have some sort of fight sequence. And yeah, I really like his presence in this trailer here. I think that's, for me, what really starts to capture me when you bring Russell Crowe into this and you start developing a bit more of the action sequences that we're seeing. Like I said, I'm not always a fan of just slotting in a scene of a movie into the start of a trailer. I understand kind of why they do that, trying to build a bit of the vibe here, but at the same time, I'm not always a huge fan of that.
Yeah, definitely. I like the trailer. I think it's, you know, a good 7 out of 10 trailer. The behind the scenes look actually did it for me, as far as wanting me to, like, making sure I actually go get tickets for the movie, like opening night. It's just a lot of the actions, practical effects, like you were saying, them on the zero-G plane, shooting all those scenes. I'm like, yes, practical effects, where do I sign up? I want more of it, because every single movie now has CG everywhere. Every single shot is CG, and you can see in the behind the scenes look, it's just practical effects, things breaking, things exploding. I don't know if I'm sold on the reboot, though. It being a reboot, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but the original Mummy series was set in like the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, 20s, 30s, 40s, I think.
Exactly. So this could be the same universe, just, you know, 70 years later.
Yeah, that universe kind of went sideways, though, towards the end couple. Like, that was one of the ones that fell plague to this idea that you had to have CG everything. Because I think they had, like Abomination or
They
whatever.
had the Rock with the unfinished CG,
So there's
the
a
Scorpion
Scorpion
King.
King, and then I think the fourth one or something, they had some sort of Yetis or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was even a spin-off, I think, with the Scorpion King.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
So that launched The Rock's career, which I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
But I'm not so much on board. I'm happy that they're kind of doing this in a reboot style. They're kind of, changing and flipping the script here a bit, because that one felt kind of cartoony. I like the first two. I think what they did there in the early 2000s or whenever it was good for the time, and then they got kind of caught up in themselves trying to just pump out these movies to get the box office. So it looks like, and Universal has tried a couple times to get this universe off the ground with a couple different characters. That Dracula movie that came out
Dracula Untold or something.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully this is the start to their Avengers X, this cinematic monster universe. And having Tom Cruise at the helm, I'm not always a big fan of Tom Cruise. My dad is also a big hater of Tom Cruise.
Oh, really?
And maybe that some of that's kind of instilled in me, but I like what he's doing in the Mission Impossible, and I like what they're doing here with like I said, with the practical. It looks cool.
Yeah.
And I just have to see a bit more of what they're going to do with the villain here. Like, I think everything, I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, I like you said, that they're going down the path with the Princess and Queen, but I'm still not completely sold on that whole aspect of it. But I do like Tom Cruise and what I'm seeing here as far as the effects go.
It's interesting because I almost thought for a second they were going to go back more to the classic Mummy route, like the old black and whites, but it looks like it's definitely going to be
toilet paper wrap type thing.
It'd be a little too campy for us. Nobody would be able to take it seriously.
No.
But I think, to reiterate on your point, Tim, is like, it is kind of a Mission Impossible looking movie. I got that vibe from it, especially with starting out in a plane. Like the last one, he was hanging out the side of a plane as it was taking off. So I don't know how well that's going to go with the rest of the movie. But Tom Cruise, when you put him in action, he carries. I
think he delivers. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that he's phoned in. I mean, I can see a couple times like Jennifer Lawrence. She's phoned in a couple movies. Tom Cruise has been doing this for a long, long time, and he gives every movie 100%, whether the movie might not be good or not.
That's true.
I feel like he gives it his all every time, at least. So
yeah, I agree. I'm also very excited for this. Like, I'm not like on the edge of my seat excited, but this is something that I would consider to go see just based purely off this trailer. And this drops June 9th, 2017. So this is coming out at the start of the summer movie blockbuster season, but a month after Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm going to put this on the list right now of an anticipated film just based off this trailer for 2017.
Good stuff.
So the next movie on the dock, and this comes out not too long after The Mummy, this drops on June 23rd, is Transformers: The Last Night. So this trailer kicks off with a very eerie remix of a Flaming Lips song called Do You Realize? And I like the touch of this music. But then we get into the actual footage, and this seems like a post-apocalyptic type film. I do not remember what happened at the end of Age of Extinction or whatever it was, but I do not remember the whole world coming to an end here. And this is the vibe that you get through this whole entire trailer. Like, the whole world is ending. And we do see scenes from some of the rumored locations that we heard that were with, Nazi flags and, being
King
called
Arthur.
the Knights Templar type feel to it here.
Yeah.
And we discussed, I think, when they first released those, is this some sort of time travel movie? But with the narration of Anthony Hopkins. That's all I could think of the whole time was that Odin was narrating. Because you see him narrate over some of the Infinity War stuff and Thor stuff too.
Yeah.
And that's all I could think about in this trailer was Thor was narrating a Transformers, or Thor. Odin was narrating a Transformers trailer here. But I don't even remember where I was going with this, because I've completely lost my train of thought, because this just seems like a whole jumbled full of different scenes from the movie.
Great.
But what are your take on this idea that we have this really post-apocalyptic feel? They seem to be trying to reinsert the whole Cybertron war with Earth that it's been going on for a long time. And I never really got that feel from the other movies. They just seem to be somewhat ignoring the continuity that they've built, but also still building off of what they had there. So I'm just immensely confused as to what they're trying to do in this film going forward from this trailer. Like, it really seems like they're inserting the, Optimus and all these characters, or even whatever, Megatron or whatever, Decepticons, into past human events, and that they've had some sort of effect on them all the way back to King Arthur, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this trailer? Like, I know I just kind of ran through a bit of it there, and it seemed like a bit of a word jumble that I was trying to get through, but I'm trying to express a lot of ideas that are in this trailer that just don't really jive with the previous editions of this film franchise.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this at all. This is a big hot mess. This trailer looks, in my opinion, here. I've never been a fan of this King Arthur and the Nazi era with Transformers. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think with Transformers, it's kind of simple. There's two movies you can either pitch here, right? You can either do the animated show way back, Beast Wars, and take it back to the dinosaurs age, and they've been around since then, which would kind of be cool to see these Transformers transform into animals. Or you just give us a movie that we've all been wanting and just go to Cybertron. Yeah. Because this whole Earth stuff is just not doing it for me. Mark Wahlberg in there just looked out of place.
Yeah, so he's returning from the
last one, right? Yeah, so he looked out of place. There was one cool shot that I really liked, which was Optimus kind of floating off there.
Yeah,
with the debris and all that stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. I know Michael Bay. I give it to him every time. He does action well. Like, there's some really cool action shots, and it sounded great, and they look great. But I just don't care anymore for these movies. They're just not doing it for me.
Yeah, the returning Mark Wahlberg kind of threw me off. I knew he was in this movie, but when you see how this movie is being presented as this post-apocalyptic feel, he was kind of like this crazy inventor, right? And now that we're inserting him into what appears to be some sort of final stand of humanity against the Decepticons, and then you have returning Josh Duhamel, who was in Transformers 1 through 3, I believe.
Yeah, the military guy.
Yeah, and you see them interacting a bit, which kind of threw me off.
Right.
They're blending these two separate or seemingly separate-ish universes together, and you have Mark Wahlberg, who's this kind of crazy dad inventor who's encouraging a military man, a guy that's been fighting the Decepticons since they first apparently landed on Earth in Transformers 1, which I'm a fan of, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It just, that contrast I didn't like. I didn't like those two characters together. I'm a fan of Mark Wahlberg, and he did fine. He kind of overacted, I felt, in the last one.
And in this trailer.
Yeah. But seeing him here, and he seems to be a part of this, I don't know, this resistance, or I really don't know what's happening here on Earth. Like, what's changed since Age of Extinction when the Dinobots rode off into the sunset there? Like, I really don't know what's going on here. It's just, again, it's just a lot of visuals to try to draw you in that way. And that's what Transformers movies are. They make billions of dollars, mind you. Mm-hmm. But it's just using that again. There's not a lot, and I always say I don't want a lot of the story, but for this type of movie, I need to understand what's going on when you're showing me Nazi flags. You have a title like The Last Night.
Dragons.
Yeah. It seems to be that Unicron is the main villain here.
Which is cool, but again, put us on Cybertron if you're going to go that route, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So. It's one of the things that I guess we as North American moviegoers have to realize is that not every single movie that comes out in North America is going to be made for us.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know if you guys knew the box office numbers from the previous
over $1 billion.
Huge numbers in China.
Yeah.
And chances are this is partially being funded by Chinese money, just like the previous Transformers. So it makes sense why there's a sequel. It's money in the bank for Universal.
Oh yeah, I'm not blaming them for trying to make money.
No, it's fine. It's
Paramount.
So I get why. But the thing that I'm trying to figure out, and what Troy was saying, is why not just give us the fully CG movie on Cybertron, give us what eventually people are going to want to watch, because this, like, basically shoehorning humans into a war with gigantic robots, why?
Yeah.
They have no business in this fight.
Yeah.
Like,
they're trying to humanize it a bit. Like, do you need someone to connect to on screen? Is that a question?
I guess
is that what they're trying to get at?
I guess maybe to make it relatable.
Yeah.
And maybe, like, I don't know. I'm not Michael Bay. He shoots action amazingly. I would rather him not make Transformers and make Bad Boys 3, honestly.
Well, yeah, and I think, with a lot of these movies, you gotta give some new blood in there. You have directors on there for maybe 1 or 2, 3 films. I mean, look at Sam Raimi, right? He overstayed his welcome. Josh Whedon almost was fatigued. I think he needs to go away,
exactly.
Get some new blood in there.
13 hours?
Yeah,
like, that's a great. It's not a thrilling or super.
It's a good movie,
fantastic. Like, it's not like the top end of when you're looking at Hurt Locker or anything like that. But I really enjoyed 13 Hours. I thought the action was great, the actors were great in it, and it was a smaller Michael Bay film. When you go back and look at Pain and Gain too, he did as well, and I really enjoyed that. Like, that's just kind of an off-color movie that is different, and you kind of contrasting that style of Michael Bay, and that's what I think the Bad Boys films are. It's a nice meld of those type of movies, Pain and Gain. 13 hours with this type of Transformers massive explosion type things, right?
Yep.
And I think that works for him. I agree. He's fatigued here.
Yep.
He needs to move on. They need to hand this franchise onto someone different to do something different. They're kind of chewing up a lot of the Transformers lore in these movies without giving it to someone else to try to do something different.
For sure. Did you guys think it took itself too seriously too, this trailer? Or was it just me? I mean, the tone, I guess, the music.
Yeah, it's the music and the vibe of this post-apocalyptic world at war type thing that they're trying to get at here. And yeah, I just don't. And then you also see Optimus attacking Bumblebee. That was the other big revelation in this trailer. And it looks like Optimus is either under some sort of mind control, would be my guess.
Yeah.
And that's why he's fighting Bumblebee. I'm not sure of the force that's left on Earth to fight with the humans.
Right.
How they're going to defeat a Unicron that's chewing up the moon in this first image. So I don't know what they're going to do here with this franchise. And well, it's pretty clear what they're going to do with this franchise. They're going to continue to pump out movies. I think we'll eventually get that Cybertron movie, but I think we're going to have to wait for it. And it's another one of these movies. It's going to make $1 billion. We're going to see more of these. This doesn't put my ass in the seat for this movie. I'm not going to support a movie that doesn't have any depth to it, really.
Right. Yeah.
But I will eventually watch it. It's going to be a Netflix for me, though, I think.
For sure.
Exactly. One thing that just occurred to me is like there was this whole thing a couple years ago about like it's a gritty reboot, and this is what we've been getting with Transformers. They've been getting ever so grittier and grittier, and we literally have a post-apocalyptic. The hero of the series is now a bad guy attacking his friends. Like, what else? What else are you going to give us?
Yeah.
You can only do so much with this franchise. I think.
Yeah, they're going to sell a lot of toys.
They are indeed. So, let's get into the trailer that me personally I've been most anticipating talking about here. I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, big fan of the original series, and the movie that came out a couple of years ago. The first thing that we'll all note here, and coming off the back end of the first teaser trailer, was the music, right? This was something that we discussed with Sanjay as far as they didn't use a different song in that first teaser trailer. Now they've gone and used something completely different here again. This is Sweet's Fox on the Run. What did you guys think, first of all, of the music? Because this is such a huge element of this movie and of the previous movie. Did you like the choice of song to go with this trailer once we get into the kind of the guts of the trailer here?
Yes, I definitely appreciate it. You know, they must have listened to the audience, because I think a lot of people's concern was why they go back with the same song. So I'm really glad they switched it up, and it totally has that feel, man. Very 80s like.
Yes.
I love the colors that's going on. You know, the Marvel Studios logo when it appears. I really like how that looks. So it's great stuff.
Yeah, and we see this giant monster that we did have that promo image for, and we had discussed and thought that this was probably going to be a monster they're fighting at the very start of the film. They appear to have some sort of reputation that's built post Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 with the defeat of Ronan, and it looks like they're out fighting for the galaxy again, this monster of sorts. And I think this is going to be almost their opening action sequence. You're going to see them, you know, either hired to defeat this monster or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And it looks like Drax eventually gets swallowed up by it. He's inside stabbing it there. And I didn't notice this in the first trailer, but that leap that Gamora makes is up onto this thing's leg or whatever. So it looks like it's going to be a fun opening sequence, reintroducing us to the characters. And that's what this trailer was really about, right? It was just, you know, here's Baby Groot, who's going to sell all of the toys.
Oh my goodness, is he ever? And just bring you right back into that universe.
Yeah, right? And we get, you know, good idea of Peter Quill and Drax here and their interaction, and Gamora, and a nice scene with Rocket and Groot here, and seeing their interaction again, building on that idea. You know, you could really sense that they're going to maybe spin these guys off into their own movie, the same way they did a comic book, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And what do you think of Baby Groot here, and how he's, you know, very, very different from what we got in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, but just as endearing as this, you know, it seems like he's lost his maturity, but still has his, maybe his memories in that. I don't know. It's hard to say. He seems to have that kind of play with Rocket still, right?
The same vocabulary too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like what they've done with Baby Groot. I was pretty certain that they were going to go this route and plug Baby Groot as much as possible. You know, sell a lot of toys, like you've mentioned. I like how he's handled. It's going to be an interesting dynamic between Rocket now and Baby Groot, where Rocket's going to have to look over Groot now, right? So yeah, it's great stuff, and it's a cool scene here we got with the bomb going off, and then Baby Groot runs off and really pronounces "I am Groot." You know, I really like that. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. And there seems to be some large space battle going on in the background here. We do get some images of the Milano flying through these kind of pod-like space shuttles or spaceships or what have you.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really fun to see some of that dynamic building in space, kind of very Star Wars-esque,
Yeah.
right? But even just on a bit lighter scale here. We do see some images here of the Ravengers and what appears to be, at least from the first trailer, that prison break type scene where you do have the Ravengers and they're breaking Yondu out. But that's one thing we didn't really get in this trailer was the other characters, like a Yondu, like a Nebula, or even Kurt Russell's character, Eagle the Living Planet. So it was just really focused in on our main cast of characters until we get to the last scene here. Did you think the absence of some of these characters hurts this trailer at all?
I didn't think it hurt. Predominantly the Eagle, the Living Planet, Kurt Russell's character. I didn't think it hurt the trailer because I think they want to hold that off to be that trailer that we get closer to release. Maybe spring next year, we'll probably get the trailer where they break down his character a bit more. One thing I noticed in the trailer is that they don't really show much of Gamora.
No.
She's got that one speaking part towards the end, but then that's it. It's mainly focused on Groot and Rocket and Drax and Peter Quill and Star-Lord. And I'm like wondering, was that on purpose? Is that maybe they're saving something for her later on? And the whole Ravagers thing, I guess, I think that's probably another trailer they're going to focus on the side characters because you don't want a trailer that's too busy. All these things that you got to keep track of, like they focus on Baby Groot, which everybody's going to love. I mean, everybody's going to buy the toys.
Yeah,
I think this trailer did what it wanted to do. It created hype.
Yes.
Everybody loved Rocket. Everybody loved Groot. Go with that. Add some funny Drax moments in, and everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, that's what's going to draw people in. I think the absence of Gamora isn't going to speak into her lack of presence in the film, but more the fact that she didn't have any of those moments in the original. She had that one Drax line that seemed like it was stolen from the script, right? Mm-hmm. That when she was talking about, stick up their asses or whatever, that was a very Drax line. She wasn't really a breakout character. She looks cool, and she's not as badass as she is in the comics. Like, she doesn't have that same kind of, almost deviant fighting style to her, almost possessive. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like she's not one of those breakout characters. They really focused in on Groot, Rocket, and Drax here. Even less so Peter Quill. Like, he's there. He's got some good lines. But at the same time, it's really focusing in on those three characters that were the breakout characters from Volume 1.
And that's just it. Exactly. Yeah, they really put the light on the breakout characters to get you back in there.
So I got a real feel from this trailer, though, that a lot of this is probably from early on in the movie. Because, again, this is what Marvel is doing really well with their trailers. I have no idea what this movie's about other than the fact that it looks like a good time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a way to cut a trailer. Like, you're showing me some of the good footage, some of the stuff to bring me into the theater. I'm excited. I'm hyped about this movie. But I couldn't tell you what this movie's about. Who the main villain is. Is it Eagle the Living Planet? Is it someone else? Is it going to revolve around an Infinity Stone? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm happy that I'm this excited for a film, and I have no idea what it's about. That's a way to cut a trailer.
No, completely agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Towards the end, or right at the end of this trailer, we get our first look at Mantis and our first dialogue from her. The first thing that sticks out to me is she's not green. She is green in the comics, and so I think that's probably the right way they went with this.
Not too much green.
Having another green character. And what did you think of her interaction with Peter Quill and the Drax scene there, right?
Oh, I think this was brilliant. This was the highlight for me in this whole trailer because coming out of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Drax was my star. I really like what he did because for his acting range isn't the biggest, and I think James Gunn he's a characters director, right? He knows how to play these guys so well, and he really just enhanced the experience with Drax going into this movie. So I like that he gets his little moment here, and with Magda, is it? Sorry,
Mantis.
Sorry, yeah. So with Mantis is a great scene. It's funny. It's the funniest scene in my opinion throughout the whole trailer. Yeah,
it really accentuates who Drax is and really gives you that idea that we're going to get a lot of that dry humor from Drax in this. And I really like that they're leveraging on that. They're playing to the strengths of these characters. Well, it seems like they're also evolving the characters themselves, particularly with Groot, right?
Yeah.
Who knew that they're going to contrast and do something completely different than this fan favorite, but they're introducing this, this little baby Groot in this little Ravengers outfit, or this little Guardians outfit. Like, I showed it to my wife. It's like, you have to watch it. She was a huge fan of Groot and Rocket in Volume 1, and she absolutely adores Baby Groot.
That's
this
awesome.
Is going to do huge money. Like, I'm going to have Baby Groot everything.
Do you think they'll age up Baby Groot by the end of this film, or?
I think they will.
Yeah,
I think they will. Maybe towards the end of the first movie, Groot has to make the sacrifice to save everybody. I think maybe he may have to make a similar sacrifice where he's forced to grow up into a more mature version of himself.
Okay.
Just for as far as character development, because if you have a Baby Groot, you kind of might fall into the one-trick pony thing if that's him for the 2 hours of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think James Gunn is far smarter to do that, right? Not to leave his character in one particular thing. It's got to make everybody evolve and make the character grow.
Yeah.
Figuratively this time, I guess.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Absolutely, yeah.
By the sounds of it, we all love this trailer. I think this is going to be an absolutely fantastic movie. I'm going to cut my trailer watching here.
Okay.
I may eat my words a little later. I may want to see what they're going to do with Ego the Living Planet.
Yeah.
Particularly Kurt Russell's character. I still think it's going to be some sort of sentient representation of some sort of avatar or something like that for a planet that's actually living, breathing. And I think that's probably the planet it looks like they crash on. But it's yet to be seen here. But I'm really excited for this film, and I just cannot wait. May 5th or May whatever can't come soon enough to see some more Guardians here.
So did you like this more than Transformers, or?
Of course, man.
As far as Marvel trailers are concerned, this is probably one of the better ones we've seen. I'm in the same boat as you, Tim. No more trailer watching for me. I don't want to get ruined. I purposely didn't watch the most recent Rogue One trailer.
Wow. I don't know how you guys do it. That's great.
I just don't click on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I don't know. I can kind of get into a mode where I watch these movies. I turn off my spoiler mode, like whatever I've seen. I can kind of just let it go out the window. But I gotta see more of this. I'm just too into these movies. And yeah, Marvel's been doing a great job with all these trailers, right?
But you have to watch it because you want to see it, not because you need enticing into the film, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that about wraps it up for trailers this week. I'm excited to discuss a Spider-Man trailer when it eventually comes out, but that's likely going to have to wait because next week we get Rogue One.
Huge, and we'll be done Catalyst by then. Wayne, have you been reading Catalyst? No,
I haven't.
You got to get into it, man. So we're going to be discussing Catalyst and doing a lot of speculating coming into Rogue One. A spoiler-free speculating as well, because as you guys know, I don't watch a lot of trailers. We did last week cover the final international trailer for Rogue One. That was kind of our special 50th episode type review there. But we're going to be going through in a bit more detail and reviewing Catalyst and discussing a bit what our expectations are going into this movie, and maybe trying to make a few predictions of some surprise cameos that we may or may not see from our original trilogy characters. So the following week, we'll be doing a full Rogue One review as well with the rest of the internet. But we're very passionate Star Wars fans, and we love if you guys tune in to hear our thoughts on Rogue One. So be sure to check us out next week for your prelude to Rogue One, and the following week for the review of Rogue One itself. I'm so excited for this film. I got people at work talking to me about it.
Oh, yeah.
That, again, coming back to an experience with Episode 7, people that I had no idea even knew what Star Wars were.
Wow. Yeah.
What Star Wars was. Are coming and saying, are you going to Star Wars? Are you going to see? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was explaining to people today about the placement of Rogue One relative to the original trilogy, relative to Episode 7. And everyone, the hype is building. When I hear people in my office talking about Star Wars, I know that the hype is at a fever pitch because it's reaching the population that don't necessarily make an effort to go out to movies on a regular basis, but they're making an exception to go see Rogue One in its opening weekend and the second weekend, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
It's real. Do you think they've done a great job now at this point establishing that this movie does take place before Episode 4? Like the general audience knows Vader's there. They're,
I still think there's going to be confusion.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, where's Rey? Where's Finn?
Right.
What's going on here? Why is Kylo Ren look like Darth Vader again?
Yeah. Exactly. What happened to his lightsaber? I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
It looked weird before, and now it's fixed.
I think that's something that's going to have to come after. People are going to come out of the movie maybe a bit confused, but hopefully there's enough people around that can say, no, look, this happens before this. They're chasing the Death Star plans. It leads into A New Hope. So the people I explained today kind of understood it. Like when I said they're chasing the Death Star plans, okay, that makes sense at where this placement is. It's not... Well, it could also be after Empire Strikes Back too. But
yeah, because there's no opening crawl now too, right? So
Yeah,
when they go in there, they're not going to be able to know that this is after episode 3 and yada yada. So
yeah, hopefully they make it clear. I don't know how they do that without putting text on the screen. This is before episode 4.
yeah.
So I don't know. Wayne, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back on the show, and we really look forward to having you back again to discuss all things nerd. Where can people find you on the internet?
The best way to find me is at Audio Rebellion on Twitter. It's really my only online presence right now. But thank you very much for having me back again. It's been a good conversation.
Yeah, anytime, man. We're always looking forward to having new people come in to the Nerd Room to discuss different aspects of the nerd world, whether it's trailers, Star Wars, Guardians, whatever. We look forward to having you back on the show sometime soon. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can always grab us on Twitter. Our handles are at the end of the episode. You can always grab us at #EnterTheNerdRoom. If you'd like to be a part of the conversation, throw some of your thoughts, some of your theories about these trailers, about some of the other things we discussed. What do you think is going to happen in Thor 3 with Hulk? Anything to that effect, you can always grab us on our Facebook page, YouTube page. You can comment down below. Just search the Nerd Room podcast on YouTube. You can find these podcasts there. And be sure to always tune in every single Monday to our other podcast, which is on the same feed you're listening to right now, where we discuss and recap each new episode of Star Wars Rebels. The momentum is picking up there. Huge episode last week, and a huge episode coming down the pipe this week, I believe.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a show, hell of a series, and I can't wait to see what happens next leading into Rogue One.
Yep, so we got a lot of Star Wars talk coming down the pipe here on the Nerd Room feed. Be sure to tune back for all your Star Wars news. All right, guys, until next week, for the Nerd Room, I'm Tim.
I'm Troy.
I'm Wayne.
And thank you for entering the Nerd Room.
Don't forget to subscribe and rate and review us on iTunes. You can find our hosts Tim, Sunday, and Troy on Twitter at TheNerdRM, 1912 Podcasting, and Troy, the Boy, 87.